I cannot believe it's June 3rd. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Okay, Zach, you're up first, buddy.
All right, so we've got Sports Illustrated tonight. I'll let Ms. Kreitz start us off.
Yeah, Council, what you'll see this evening is I'll introduce this portion and just explain the process so everyone in the room is on the same page. What this Riverfront Development District approval process will look like tonight and potentially into next week. And so basically our legacy zoning code, this is what this is being heard under. And so with tonight's public hearing, you'll hear from Mr. Pons. He'll introduce the item. The developer will have an opportunity to speak. Of course, there'll be a public hearing tonight. And the council, at the conclusion of tonight's public hearing, you'll be directing the city attorney's office to create a resolution that will do one of three things. It will either approve the development plan as proposed, it will approve the development plan subject to certain conditions, or it will deny the application for the development plan. And so that ordinance then will be put onto the next week's agenda under ordinances and resolutions not of a general nature or permanent operation, and that will be the final approval next week. So no matter what happens tonight is you say, all right, city attorney's office, we would like to X, and they will then prepare that ordinance to that effect.
So there will be no final vote.
Tonight is not the final vote, but you are, we will know what is happening tonight.
What is you said there were three things that could happen, I know, up, down, or yes with modifications.
conditions.
So what's an example of that?
With this one, I wouldn't know what a condition could be. Potentially it would be a condition, maybe one point of access, or paint the town yellow, something along those lines.
Actually, if tonight's is a denial, there's no need for it to come back to council next week. Correct?
It does have to come back to council next week. Yes, sir. The way that ordinance was written was very attorney speak. And so it's just got these weird loopholes and things in it that we have to follow to get to that final vote next week.
And Mr. Busby, to hopefully avoid unnecessary amendments from the floor, I have with me a substitute resolution prepared that if the council wants to deny it, we would use the substitute versus the one that's on the agenda directing us to prepare ordinance approving it.
I thought we were voting tonight on the
too.
whole thing.
I did too.
So
That's not something we
it is the process. We will know what's happening tonight. You will know whether it's an upvote or a downvote or an up with conditions. And then the next week is a formality.
And
So tonight is that public hearing.
I assume the reason we're not proceeding, say it's an up or down without condition. Typically, wouldn't we have the option of suspending the rules and pushing it through? But I'm assuming that's not an option tonight because it's highly unlikely that requires unanimous vote, correct?
And I'll have to defer to Mr. Holmes. I believe because of the way this ordinance is written with its specificity of during the public hearing, the city council directs the city attorney's office for the next regular meeting. At the next regular meeting, the council shall vote on the ordinance without a public hearing. So next week would not be a public hearing. It's just a general ordinance. Yes, sir.
Yeah, she's correct because this doesn't have to get heard 2 weeks in a row per council rules. It has to get heard 2 weeks in a row per code. So there aren't rules to suspend because we can't suspend code. That makes sense.
So does the vote have to be unanimous next week?
No, sir. No.
Yeah, in order for it to pass next week, it has to be unanimous.
What? Unanimous? Why?
So if
Because
it
it will-
doesn't,
No.
so what happens if it doesn't pass next week?
Then it will come back under unfinished business,
The following week.
as with any.
And
It would
then
not
it's
have to
just a
be
majority
unanimous
vote.
then.
No, sir. Then it wouldn't have to be. Unanimous.
But this is the only public hearing that we have to do regardless of what.
This goes 3 weeks.
I'll wait for it next week. Ain't gonna pass next week.
That's right, I mean, that's what I'm saying, it's gonna be 3 weeks.
So it won't come for a final vote till when?
Be 4 weeks, because we're gonna be in New York.
Provided there's a no vote next
Because
week,
that-
it'll be the end of the month,
And
right?
we're gonna, yeah, because we'll skip a week, we won't meet.
24th?
Yeah, well, yeah, because can't meet the 16th,
We're in New York.
17th, whatever it is.
Bond companies.
We'll be in New York. There won't be a quorum. So,
I'm confused.
Me too.
I really thought we were gonna have a final vote tonight.
So I think this is probably one of the most contentious riverfront development district plans that you've seen ever, and which is why this process does seem a little bit complicated. I think the last one that you heard was Mr. Henry's,
Another broken egg, that area right there was pretty much.
Mr. Henry's there at the bottom of Jack Warner Parkway and Greensboro Avenue. And that one was fairly smooth sailing. They were going from that apartment use to the hotel use, or the boutique hotel use. And so, but they all follow this process. So tonight, your motion will be to direct the city attorney's office to say up, down, or up with conditions. And then, yeah, it goes under ordinances of a general nature, permanent operation, which I suppose, yes, to Mr. Holmes' point, if it's not a unanimous vote of the council related to that ordinance, then it could drag into another one, but these are not public hearings. After tonight, there are no more public hearings.
But people can make citizens comment.
They could, yes, sir.
But that would be after a vote.
Unless this was tabled tonight. If the item on tonight's agenda was tabled, it would come back as a public hearing.
we'll be
That's the
in
only way.
August or something.
I don't know what to say.
This is news.
If you'd like Mr. Pons to kind of go through just the quick overview right now, we could do that, or we could just wait till this
No,
evening.
I don't wanna hear anymore. I don't.
I don't either, I've heard enough.
Fair.
Thank you. Kinda. Tony,
Good afternoon, Councilor Mayor. I only have one applicant tonight. It's the Kentucky Museum Association. They're applying for a 240 special nonprofit, tax exempt for their arts festival scheduled for June 6th. Again, it's the nonprofit alcohol application they're applying for.
any more questions?
The Arts Festival, June 6th.
Yes, sir.
What art festival is June 6th?
I'm not sure. That's when they have one of the events they have scheduled.
It's
The
not
location.
decaf and it's not Kentucky.
It's one of Kentucky events.
What? But it's not the Kentucky Festival, obviously.
Right,
It's
yes, sir.
all-
Mayor Maddox?
Yes, sir. Two things. I know you said you didn't want to hear any more about the riverfront development plan zoning. And I have two slides if you can put up there. Just a little bit of history on this. The code is a little bit more stringent, which is why back in the early 2000s, this is when I was on the city council, you had this process set up. This was before the days of Tuscaloosa Forward or Framework. And the thinking by, I think, Mr. Ennis at the time, maybe Mr. Snowden, who was planning director, is that the process, since it had a higher standard, required a more rigorous review. And so, for the most part, that process hasn't changed. I do think with Framework and everything else that's evolved, it's probably a good time to do so, because this process is now, then it was probably ahead of the curve. Today, it's a little archaic, in my opinion. But speaking of tonight, knowing that we do have a large public hearing, I don't envy you tonight, but
Us.
I don't envy you, all of you, tonight. So when I said you, I was meaning in the plural sense of the council. I do want to put in place a process where everyone feels heard and valued. And so normally I don't go to this extent when presiding over a meeting. but I wanted to put this out to the public. I sent this out to you yesterday, is that the hearing process will begin with urban development introducing the development plans, reviewing those plans with the council, and as you heard Ms. Cricht say, outline the options. At that point, once the team has made their initial introduction, we will turn it over to the applicant. We will provide the applicant or applicants, representatives, 15 minutes. We may grant extra time, kind of like a soccer match. You know, each half has 45 minutes, and then the official determines a little bit of extra time, just depending upon council questions. If you have very few questions, we'll probably stick to the 15-minute time frame. If you have a large set of questions during the presentation, we may extend some time. We will just see how that goes. I know everyone's well-versed, or appears to be well-versed on this topic. Additional time may be provided if you have any additional questions at the end of the applicant's presentation, which certainly would be normal. At that point, we will then open it up to public hearing, and Vicki, if you will go to the next slide. We welcome everyone to speak. It's a first come, first served, but a person can only speak one time. It's public comments, not public questioning. And so we ask that any questions be generalized. We as a team will work to get those questions answered as best we can, but it's not a time for somebody in the public to turn to the applicant or turn to a specific questioner. It's public comments so the council can receive those comments. It's 5 minutes per person until we get to 6 p.m. Beginning at 6 p.m., I will recommend we go to 3 minutes per person, and then if we're there beyond 6:30 p.m., then we will go to 2 minutes per person. I expect Mr. Busby at that point will order us dinner. By that time, we're counting on him to do so. At the end, once everyone has spoke from the public hearing will be closed, and this will be your opportunity to ask the applicant any additional questions, ask staff any additional questions, as you know. And then at that, once you are done, the council will vote. And then we will likely at that point, I know we'll have a large crowd, everyone certainly welcome at that point. We'll probably take a recess depending upon how long the meeting goes. Is there any questions on that from the council standpoint? Okay, so that's for the public hearing process. I also want to ask our new chief to come up. So Chief Delk, if you'll come up. I want to formally introduce our new fire chief. Appointed Mark a few weeks ago, but this is our first meeting. We've had an opportunity to introduce Chief Delk. Chief has his undergrad and master's degree from Jacksonville State University. He has been with our department, I believe, since 2006. I forgot to pull my fact sheet on you before, so I'm coming off the top of my head. Mark was highly, highly recommended by so many across our departments. I want to thank Counselor Fell, who played a real vital role on the interview committee. He also participated at the station interviews where Chief Delk got an opportunity to be interviewed by the firefighters at Fire Station 1. And so, Mr. Fell, thank you for taking the time to do that. I really appreciate your advice and input on that. And so it's my honor to introduce him as the first, at least in my tenure, in the last 24 years I've been with the city, we have not had a permanent fire chief that came from within the ranks. Marvin Tant was the acting fire chief when I was elected to city council. And A.J. Martin was soon hired thereafter. And Chief Martin came from Birmingham and Chief Smith came from Mobile. So this is, in my tenure, the first time we've had a chief come up through the ranks. And so, Chief, we welcome you. Congratulations.
Can I say something, Mayor?
Absolutely.
Having the privilege to take care and be involved in the interviews, I was very impressed, Chief. I hope I'm very impressed a year from now, too.
I agree.
So we're looking for some great stuff, but I tell you, this young man's going to do us a good job. I really believe.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for the introduction. I'm humbled and honored to be here. Like the mayor already spoke, it is a privilege to grow up in the fire service here in Tuscaloosa. I've always treated it that way, and I'm excited to be here in the city of Tuscaloosa. I actually got out this weekend, and I enjoy the things in Tuscaloosa, and that's what I'm excited about and looking forward to. it is a privilege and an honor to be in this position, and I look forward to working with everybody in here in the future. So.
Thank you.
Chief's first official day will be June 14th. I also want to take a moment, Hollis, or Chief Bond, if you would stand.
Yeah.
Chief Bond, I threw him into the deep end of the pool. He came over one day. I asked our captains across the fire department, and I probably met with 20 plus, it felt like, captains, lieutenants, battalion chiefs back in October to get their advice on what we should do with Chief Smith's retirement. And I was so impressed in our discussion, I made him acting chief. And then he immediately, I think, wanted to resign altogether. But Chief Bond has done a great job. Chief Bond has been our station captain at Fire Station 7, which is our busiest station within Fire and Rescue. Chief, you've done a really great job over the last several months maintaining our momentum in Tuscaloosa Fire and Rescue, and I wanted to publicly thank you for all your service. You did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yes,
it?
sir, that's it.
Any
And we
executive?
have one item for executive session.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mayor. Randy Johnson?
All right, guys, I've got a couple of boards and commissions to go over with you guys. The first one shouldn't be too crazy. We've got Tuscaloosa National Airport Advisory Committee. We've got two of our members who have terms that have expired that wish to stay on that board. That's going to be Miss Kelsey Rush and Justice Smith. If that's okay with you guys, I'll have that ordinance on next week's agenda.
Yep.
All right, so this next one is going to be the Historic Preservation Commission. We accepted resumes for this particular board through May 31st. I've got a nice hefty stack of all of the applications that we received for this one. As you guys know, Historic Preservation Commission is mayor nominated and council appointed. So I sent all of those resumes over to the mayor. He had a fantastic time reviewing every single one of them. And he made a recommendation for you guys. So on there, you'll see the list of all of the applicants along with the districts in which they reside. You'll have a brief little blurb giving you guys some information about what needs to be done. So Historic Preservation Commission has 5 members that have terms that have expired, 3 of which do not wish to be reappointed, and 2 of them do. So Miss Kathy Pagani would like to be reappointed. Wayne Yarbrough wishes to be reappointed. And if you look down at the very bottom, you'll have a paragraph letting you know that the mayor's recommendation is to reappoint Kathy and Wayne, and then have Carl Elabash the fourth to replace Joseph Cox, Patricia Stone to replace Sally Davis, and Cooper Shattuck to replace Mary Harmon Young.
That's a pretty good.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, so I like all of it.
All right. And then the last one that you guys have on that last page is going to be the Tuscaloosa Public Library. If you go back a couple weeks, I sent over all of these applications to you guys. This is the one where we have both Olympia McCracken and Virginia Ennis rolling off of that particular board. That list of applicants, again, has all of their names and the district in which they reside next to them. So if you guys have any recommendations, we'd love to go ahead and throw that on next week's agenda as well.
I'd rather, if it's okay with the council, I've heard several names that seem like that people, seem like a couple of that I heard at least 3 or 4 councilmen say the same name.
Okay.
If we can get, if it's all right with you guys, can we come back one more week?
Yeah.
Because,
On the
on the library,
Okay.
Is that okay then, y'all?
All right.
I know I heard Ms. Howard and Mr. Eatman last week talk about one name, which I also was one of my picks, but if we'll just give us one more week on that, I'll get with the rest of the council.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank
What are we
you.
doing on Historic Preservation Commission? Are we coming back next week with that as well?
So next week for historic preservation, all of the recommendations down at the bottom of that page will be on next week's agenda as an ordinance.
That's great. I love all the number of applicants for the library. I actually, Olympia McCracken and Virginia Ennis have been great, but they've served a long time. And, so, okay. I will say too, well, go ahead, Mr. Holmes.
I'm sorry, I can wait, Mr.
No, I'm just gonna double check. I've got the council will meet with, the presidents of universities, staff, I think it's, we do our lunch with them. I think it's next Thursday, the 12th at 11:30. So we would need to, if everyone wants to leave from here, because it's close to the Randall Welcome Center, where we're going to meet this time for a meeting with his staff and for lunch. But I'm almost positive, I just need to double check, but I think it's June the 12th. And we could, I'll let you all know for sure, but it'll be 11:30 to 1:30. And of course, lunch will be provided on campus. Okay. All right, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. I am almost towards the top there on page 2 of your agenda. We're on page 13. You'll be authorizing the approval of cost and scope change order to construction contract with MAC Environmental LLC. This is for home repair and renovation services at 250 First Street. This is an amended agreement amount of $14,970. This came to you in projects on the 20th. On page 14, you'll be authorizing the chief financial officer to draw a draft for the Northern Sewer Extension Project Phase 1 property acquisitions. This is a total of $3,000 and comes to you from my office. On page 15 through 16, you'll be authorizing the chief financial officer to draw drafts for the University Boulevard East Improvements Project property acquisitions. This is a total of $127,238. And again, comes to you from my office, and this is for that project in your district, Mr. Tyner. On page 17, you'll be authorizing amendment number 1 to the professional services contract between the city of Tuscaloosa and Schnabel Engineering for Lake Nickel Dam. This is a total compensation amount of $705,000 and came to you in projects on the 20th. On page 18, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Brian's Flooring and Design. This is a total of $23,200.71. This came to you in projects on the 20th. On page 19, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with T&P Construction. This is a total of $12,264 and again came to you in projects on the 20th. On page 20, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Chip Griffith Construction. This is a total of $7,550 and again came to you in projects on the 20th. On page 21, you'll be authorizing a funding agreement with Tuscaloosa County Parks and Recreation Authority. This is a total not to exceed $37,500, and this came to you in finance on the 20th. On page 22 and 23, you'll be introducing zoning amendment number 12, rezoning approximately 14.2 acres located at 1322 31st Street. This comes to you from Planning Commission. On page 24 through 25, you'll be introducing zoning amendment number 13. This will be rezoning approximately 3.7 acres located at 1333 31st Street from SFR1 to SFR2. And this again comes to you from the Planning Commission. On page 26, you'll be introducing zoning amendment number 14, rezoning approximately 4.8 acres located at 1700 23rd Avenue from SFR1 to SFR5. And this also comes to you from the Planning Commission. On page 27, you'll be adding section 21-228 of the Code of Tuscaloosa. This came to you in admin on the 20th. On page 28 through 33, you'll be amending various sections of the Code of Tuscaloosa. This came to you in admin on the 20th. On page 34, you will be authorizing amendment number 12 to the fiscal year 2025 general fund budget. This came to you in finance on the 20th. And then on page 35, 36, 37, you will be setting July 1st as the date for public hearing on those 3 previous mentioned zoning amendments. Are there any questions for me?
Questions for Scott? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Council.
Appreciate it. You'll see, I think we're all excited to see how well the changes in the committee times and meetings will go today. It'll be a great, I think we'll find out a lot because after today, because we have, you see the designated times, but the changes will go into effect as when one committee can start after the end of another. So we have projects, finance, admin, and policy, and properties, and then of course our new time for council at 5. So we've got a lot of committee meetings to get through by the council meeting, which starts at 5 o'clock. Monday, police and fire pension board will meet in the Doherty conference room, and that will be at 9 a.m. Okay, is there a motion that we go into executive session?
Second.
Motion and second, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. As your city attorney and attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that this executive session is to discuss with their attorney the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation, controversies not yet being litigated, but imminently likely to be litigated or imminently likely to be litigated if the governmental body pursues a proposed course of action.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any